Okay.
Welcome to the Outlander Unhinged podcast, where we talk deep dives, wild theories, and the heart of Outlander. I'm Doreen.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Jenny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 18 of the Outlander Unhinged podcast. We are, as always, excited for this episode. So, Jenny, do you want to introduce today's topic so we can dive right in?
Not particularly, but I will. Today's topic is Tom Christie, friend or foe?
Foe. Oh, man. Okay, Liz, Tom Christie is your man. He's your man. I'll never understand why, but I'm going to give you a chance to defend him. So why don't you go first and tell us if you think he's a friend or foe and why.
Okay. Well, when it comes to Tom Christie, I do think he's a friend. I think he's a very misunderstood character, generally speaking. I think that his character, like many others in Outlander, is depicted in a not so kind light at times because it is necessary to the plot of the story, it is necessary to events, it is necessary to interactions between other characters, conversations, all of those important things. I do want to preface what I'm about to say with I'm basing my opinion about Tom Christie on the show and where I am in the books, which is, I want to say, maybe a little more than a quarter of the way through book 6. So I'm not super deep into Tom Christie's character yet. I would like to be, but but I'm not. I'm not super deep into his character yet in the books. Now, Doreen and Jenny, before we started recording, actually just told me that Tom's character is pretty similar in the books compared to the show, that there's not going to be much change. However, I just haven't read the rest of the books and the conversations that are going to happen in the rest of this book and what comes later. So I'm basing it on that. I think that one of the reasons I think Tom Christie is a friend is I think that his relationship with Claire is very interesting and very different than any other relationship that I have seen with Claire and another man. Meaning, I think that there is a connection between Claire and Tom that is platonic, of course, from her side. But Tom is an educated man. He has lived a life. He has had very similar experiences in his life to Jamie. And I do think that Claire enjoys the time that she spends speaking to Tom and vice versa. He enjoys the time that he spends speaking with her. And from what I have read so far, there hasn't been any aggression necessarily towards Claire. I can definitely sense that he's a little bit uncomfortable around her, and being a show watcher and knowing what comes later, I can understand why he is a little bit uncomfortable around her. But I do think that he genuinely enjoys being around her and enjoys the conversations that he has with her. Another reason why is I think the dynamic between Tom and Jamie is so incredibly interesting. And one of the things that surprised me the most about Tom was learning, at least from my perspective, I'm only speaking for myself, that his situation with Jamie, any hostility he might have, I feel like the show portrayed that as jealousy, that there was jealousy of Jamie's leadership, jealousy of the attention that Jamie was getting from the governor at Ardsmuir. Whereas I'm reading the books for the first time and learning, at least from my perspective, it wasn't necessarily about jealousy. For Tom, it was a religious thing. It was his fear of not being understood, or religion in Ardsmuir becoming something else that he didn't want it to be. And so him being the person that he is, wanting to lead the people in a way that he felt would be good and righteous and offer them salvation, to find out that he became part of a lodge with Jamie, that was wild to me, because I did not know that. So the oath that both of them took essentially was to go hand in hand together. And that, to me, completely changed the way I view Tom and Jamie's relationship, which is another reason why I do think that he is a friend. It's not that Tom is bitter toward Jamie at this point in the story. It's not that he dislikes Jamie. It's not that he's jealous of Jamie. It's that he was faced with, I guess, this internal struggle that he had from a religious perspective, and had to come to terms with being in a lodge with Jamie and other men, which is not necessarily something he wanted to do, but he had to force himself to come to terms with the situation that he was being faced with. And I think those are really my top two reasons why I think Tom Christie is a friend. I don't think that he's someone who is out to get Jamie or Claire. I think he deals with an internal struggle excessively for many different reasons. I think that he's very misunderstood. He doesn't know how to communicate his emotions. He doesn't know how to express his feelings or what he thinks. But I don't think that his intention is to be evil or to cause harm or to cause upset. I don't think that that is his intention. At times that he might do that, like any of the characters might, but I don't think he sets out with the intention of causing harm or causing upset or causing a stramash. I personally do not think so. And those are my top two reasons why I think he's a friend, not a foe.
Okay.
Of course.
So let me ask you a question. I consider Tom a foe. But I also recognize that, like Jamie and every other character, he's kind of a man of his time, because we see that this man beats his daughter. We see that he has deep-rooted issues with what happened to his wife, his brother and his wife having an affair. Malva's not really his daughter. And I think that he punishes Malva because of that, even though, and that's why he gets the way he does about Malva having the relationship with Claire. And I think he's so fearful of Malva becoming his ex-wife that he punishes her to an excessive amount. Now, I think he's important to the storyline. I can't remember if this happens in the show. I'm almost positive it does, but he's the one that does the obituary about Jamie and Claire dying in the fire.
Correct.
So we couldn't necessarily remove him from the story, because then Bree would never travel back and all of those things. So
Right.
I recognize that he's an important character, but I don't think that he's a good character, because he's written almost, and I talk about foil characters quite a bit, because I think that all of the other male characters are almost written directly to be foil characters for Jamie. And they're written in a way that highlights Jamie just being more evolved than them and being better than them and being more sympathetic and whatever. And I think Tom Christie truly is.
Why don't you explain foil characters for people that don't know that term?
Okay, so a foil character is basically like an antagonist and a protagonist. And the protagonist is written in a way that, as the reader, we're only given positive feelings about him. And a foil character is written in a way to really highlight the protagonist's positive aspects, right, Liz? That's how you would explain that.
Yes.
As an English
exactly.
teacher. Okay.
Yes.
So
And then she gets the ruler out.
Yeah.
I don't. I do not.
I've seen it. She does, folks.
I am not. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So I think
Help
sometimes
me, Tom.
it's
Help me.
so I do think that sometimes it's really hard, and this kind of comes back to what we were talking about with Jamie and how sometimes it's hard for people to see his flaws, because I think so many of these characters are written so much worse than Jamie, and the perception that they give us is that Jamie is this god of all men and everybody else is terrible. So when I analyze Tom, I have to think about that. Is it the way that he's written, or is he just a conflicted man? But I think he's kind of bigoted. And I think he's very self-righteous for reasons that he shouldn't be, because he doesn't practice what he preaches. And I think all the way back from Ardsmere, he views Jamie as what he wants to be. A man of principle, a man of honor, and a person who men follow. And for whatever reason, he can't get that kind of loyalty even from his own wife, from his own children. And he's very jealous of Jamie, and he almost covets everything he has. He wants the men to follow him on the ridge. And I think that that takes over, and he hides behind this self-righteous religious belief that we have to do what's right for God. But he's here coveting his neighbor's wife and in love with her. And sure, he's trying to fight it, and he takes this oath with Jamie. They're supposed to be, Jamie takes him in, puts him on the ridge. And the first chance that he gets, and he doesn't, I don't care. I know you guys don't think he knew what his son was doing, but I'm sorry. I will never believe that he didn't think, whether he knew his son was doing it or not, he knew it was not Jamie that laid with Malva and got her pregnant. I will die on that hill. And he still turned them in. And look at all of the chaos that was caused from that. And then, yeah, he sacrifices himself for Claire, but he knew he was never going to have her. And he thought, well, I could do something that in this moment I'm going to be looked at as a hero, and she'll forever know I sacrificed and I saved her. So I don't think any of it was done with good intention. It was done with jealousy, and it was done with self-righteous indignation. Does that make sense?
Yes. For me, I'm in the in-between with you too. I don't necessarily see him as a foe, but I definitely don't see him as a friend. I agree with Bliss that he's very conflicted. I think religion rules his life, which can be a dangerous thing when you allow it to take over every aspect. As far as Malva goes, I think for Tom, and again, my opinion, it's not in the books, is being as pious and self-righteous and religious as he is, that he has tried to impress these things upon his children. I don't know that he could mentally wrap his head around that. That's not it's not an excuse, but it kind of is. Like, I don't think he could possibly think that that's what was happening. And I think during the whole unraveling of blaming Jamie and all of that, I think those are the moments where he was trying to take Jamie down. I do think that that was a selfish way to do it. Like, look, I told you guys, you should have followed me. This is what he's done. So he took advantage of the opportunity, which is why I don't see him as a friend, but I also don't see him as a foe, because I don't think at that moment he could have understood that that's what Alan had done. During bringing Claire to trial and all of that, I think that's maybe where he had this revelation that this is a possibility and this is what happened. And
can I ask
agree,
you?
I think, yeah.
And this is for both of you. Do you think that if he didn't have, and we can debate if we think he really loved Claire. In fact, I want to, but do you think that if he didn't have feelings for Claire, that he would have still done what he did? Like at the end, tried to do the right thing and get Jamie cleared and all those things? Or do you think it was all about Claire and hoping he could be with Claire and save her and be looked at as this hero?
I think that's an answer that we're not going to know. I can see it both ways. I can see if Claire wasn't in the picture, he wasn't in love with her, that he would not do it. but I also think for him, he was in like a crisis of faith. Like, how is this all happening? And how I've got to like relook at my life. And, you know, my daughter and my son are both dead now, and there's a grandchild that's dead. And I think that he probably had a breakdown from it. So I don't think, again, that's why I don't see him as like a friend or a foe. I just think he's a very conflicted person, to use your word.
I guess I think everyone's a foe, so I'm a hard critic. What about you, Liz?
Well, before I answer, I actually have a question because, Jenny, you said something interesting that we don't have confirmation of in the show. That Tom knows that Alan is dead. Does that happen in the books? Does he know? Because in the show, it just says he was told that Alan had left the ridge. Does he actually know that Alan is dead in the books, or is it the same situation?
I'm probably further than you are, but I'm not that far. And I'm always for spoilers. So I've told you guys before, I skipped so I could read 7, 8, and 9 because I got spoilers. So do you want the answer from Doreen?
I don't know.
If it's the
Yeah,
same,
I feel like for the context of this conversation, I'm interested to know. Doreen is stumped. Did I stump Doreen?
You did. I. Here's the thing: when it comes to 5 and 6,
you heard it here first. Liz stumped Doreen.
When it comes to books 5 and 6, I won't lie, because we had talked about this week maybe doing an episode on episode 5, and because of Liz's journey reading it, we really want to dedicate an episode to that. And I said, I am going to need time to prepare. I haven't read that book in probably 3 years. There is so much information that sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, look at the size of that.
It is.
Right. I'm almost positive that in the book he knows that both of his children are dead. I'm pretty positive. So,
because it doesn't come across that way, at least to me in the show, that he's aware that Alan is also dead. He just thinks maybe Alan left the ridge because Tom was gone and Malva had already passed by then, so that maybe there was no reason for him to stay, and he had left. But that's very interesting. I'll be interested.
And so either way, when you think about his character, if he does not know he's dead, he knows that he's gone, and he knows that Malva's gone. And I can't imagine what that would do to your brain. On top of the realization that, all right, so it wasn't Jamie, and so that leaves maybe one other person. And I'm surprised that they didn't have him commit suicide in the end. That's where I would have thought the character would have gone.
We don't even honestly know if he's deceased in the book. I do know that.
Right.
Or if he's still standing trial.
He just kind of like goes away, right? He just goes away.
He's at prison awaiting his sentencing. So let me ask you guys another question.
But he doesn't get, they let him go because when he's taken off the ship, there's no court system in place. So he
we just don't know if he's like awaiting a sentencing or if they're going to arrest him. We don't really know.
Right.
It's kind of ambiguous. So let me ask you guys another question. And this isn't something, do we have this confirmed? This is your own thought. Do you truly believe that at any point he thought Jamie may have impregnated his daughter, knowing who Jamie was?
I think he wished that's what it was. I said this just before. I think he was hoping this was going to be the downfall. Do I think he believed it in his absolute core? No. So he took this opportunity to attempt to ruin Jamie's reputation within the Ridge. And I think going forward, realizing his son, his daughter, his grandchild, now I'm in the middle of a ship somewhere, I'm waiting trial. I think there was a meltdown.
I think my thought is similar to you, Jenny, that in the beginning, I will say when I first watched the show, in the beginning, I think he absolutely did think that it was Jamie. This is prior to really getting deep into the books.
Okay.
I think that he did absolutely, I think he did. But I think at some point, now knowing what I know, it really became more of a wish or a hope that it was Jamie, because I agree with what was said earlier. I don't know that any parent would want to accept the knowledge of what was going on in their home. And I think that Tom probably was in a way almost fantasizing that it was Jamie, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but that he was imagining in his mind,
like, I could take over right now and I would be the leader.
Not necessarily that, but because who would want to accept the fact that their son was doing that to their daughter? That is such a hard thing for any person to have to come to terms with. So I do think in the beginning, Tom was really more that he did in the beginning, but then it became more of a fantasy, a hope, or a wish, because Tom, knowing the kind of man that Jamie is, Jamie would never do something like that. But by then they were in too deep at that point.
But we also knew that Malva had been with other men on the ridge. So why was he so adamant? I mean, I get that she accused him, but we know that both Tom and, oh my gosh, what's the son's name?
Alan.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that slipped my mind. But both of them...
It's been a busy morning.
It has been a very busy morning. Both of them were very abusive to Malva. And physically and mentally. And maybe... I wonder if that kind of made Alan have this weird... Especially... the way that Tom was so abusive of Malva, I wonder if we Tom almost created this situation where Alan felt that he was the only person who could save Malva and he could protect her. Because we hear him say that, ever since she was... Remember when he's sitting at the grave and Claire comes and he's talking about how he protected her even when he was little. They had that vicious aunt and Malva wasn't really his sister, and he felt this obsessive nature over her. And that's kind of where I start thinking to myself, one, did Tom create that situation because he didn't love Malva because she wasn't his daughter? He was so abusive and judgmental and so fearful of her turning out to be like his mother that created that situation with Alan. But also, secondly, did it kind of make him turn a blind eye to what was happening? Or maybe he just couldn't stand the thought that his children would be doing that. He was married to a witch. He's so religious and he doesn't want to see these things. You know, there's a lot of ways.
I do think... I'm sorry. We have a little
No,
lag.
I'm just saying I don't have him on the level of like someone such as Stephen Bonnet or Blackjack Randall.
No.
At
no,
all.
not at all.
But I just think... I do feel that he did not have Jamie or Claire's best intentions at heart. I don't even think that he loved Claire. We can go to that next. I just think it was more of an infatuation situation. And so I don't think he was a friend. I don't think he's a villain. I don't think he intended to get anyone raped or killed or any of those things.
Agreed.
It got out of control, but I just don't think he's a friend to them.
I really see Tom as the compartmentalization of two characters in one. There's Tom as a father who I think is not a good person. I don't think he was a good father. But then I see him as a man with his own history, with his own past, with his own experiences, a husband, right? I think that, and we see that with Claire. We see that with Jamie. We see that with so many different characters. They are more than one thing at the same time. So two things can be true at the same time. You could be a decent person, but, a really crappy parent. You could be a decent person to your family and be a really crappy friend. That happens a lot. And I think for me, when I think about Tom, I see him as more than one thing. When it comes to Tom being a father, and I want to address this because I've said before many times, Malva is a very triggering character for me. I have a lot of trouble with Malva in general. She actually doesn't seem as abrasive and in your face and creepy in the books as she does in the show.
Yeah.
I see her as just this young girl who is existing and trying to find her way, and she is a product of her environment, and she's just a young girl that is stuck in this time. And when it comes to what happened with Malva, none of that is appropriate. None of that is okay. All of that is unacceptable and is really tragic that it happened. When it comes to Tom as a man, I guess I just see that side of him a little bit differently, meaning the interactions I've read about him so far in the book, he has been by himself, meaning Malva and Alan have not been there. It's only been him in conversations with Jamie, him in conversations with Claire, and he just comes off as different to me in that way. I'm not at the part in the books yet when all the unfortunate things start happening yet. I will be interested to know once I start reading that if I start to feel differently about him, because I'm only going by the show right now. So I just wanted to make sure that I said that
clarified
and got that in there too. So thank you. Yes.
Let me ask you guys another question. Do you think that he genuinely fell in love with Claire? And I will answer first if you want me to, actually. I wrote a thing. I wrote a thing, you guys. You see it?
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
So you go first. Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, what I wrote, synopsis, so that I'm not long-winded, I have a problem with that, is that he did not love Claire. He was infatuated with her and jealous of all that Jamie had. Claire is the first person who showed him kindness and humanity and strength, and he admired that in her. And after being in prison for so long and what his ex-wife did to him, he had probably at that point dehumanized women. And Claire broke down his walls and gave him a different perspective of women. Claire reminds him of his ex-wife also before she was bewitched. And that's why he's trying so hard to correct Claire so that she doesn't go down the same path as his wife, and why he's trying to correct Malva so she doesn't go down that same path. And then I said, again, I also just think he has a very weird envy of Jamie and wants his life and wants to be the man that Jamie is. And I think I touched on that earlier as well, that he gets so lost in his jealousy of Jamie and wanting to be Jamie that he struggles because Jamie's religious, right? But when if we're being honest, it's almost kind of when it's convenient for him. And Jamie kind of bends the rules. He's not pious. And I think Tom both rejects that and is jealous of that. And he's so pious and he's so religious. He's like almost a zealot, but he's coveting his neighbor's wife, which is literally breaking one of the 10 commandments. So he's very conflicted.
Right.
So I don't think it's love. I just think, you're bound to, you're in prison with a bunch of men for so long. You don't see women. And right before then you found out your daughter's not your daughter. Your wife is a witch. He totally dehumanized women. He thought they were all evil. He thought his own daughter was evil. And I think Claire's the first woman he kind of thought she wasn't evil. She was always trying to do good. She was healing people and she challenged him. She excited him. And he kind of became infatuated with that. And it was something Jamie had that he didn't. So.
I don't necessarily think he wasn't in love with her. I think I think she resembled his ex-wife or his deceased wife. We know that he becomes infatuated with her, tying her hair up like she, it's always unkempt and it's always unruly. And
Oh,
um,
yeah. I
I
forgot about
think
that.
there's a physical attraction.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's more maybe in love than not, because Claire is so clearly different from all of the other women. She truly stands out among all of the other women. So there is something to be said that a lot of these men like to be put in their place. So,
That's true.
and
That's
that goes
true.
from early on in the story to further down. So I think it's just something that's different. And do I think he could be in love with her? Sure. I think that on his end, he probably felt some sort of a chemistry there. But again,
Okay.
was so religious, he was too embarrassed to speak of it. When he's given the book, he calls it filth, and he's so embarrassed that she would read this. But that's the same person, the filth. So that's like the same. He's still in love with her, but can't believe that you would talk like this. That's not how women talk. So I think that's the attraction. And I think, that's the way Claire's written. Everybody, Dougal, Christie, they all, I shouldn't say all of them, but there are a number of characters that just want her. And I think it's possible that he did love her.
I do think that Tom loved Claire. I think that she was a source of hope for him, that he could feel again in a very pure way, meaning in his heart. It wasn't necessarily okay that he was in love with another man's wife, but more so that he could feel something again after all of the things that he had been through. And Claire, in that time, she's like a sore thumb sticking out. She is, Jamie talks a lot about her being very clean, and she doesn't talk like regular women. She doesn't behave like regular women of that time. She's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And it makes sense that Tom, also being an educated man, would find that attractive in a woman. Not that he necessarily saw her as his equal, but he saw her as someone that he could have intellectual conversations with, which was not the norm at that time for a man to feel that way about a woman. So I do think that there absolutely was a part of him who was genuinely in love with her and was willing to sacrifice his life for her, because at that point, what did he say? Something about that he wanted to give his love to someone who is deserving of his love. And that was really sad for me. I think Tom Christie is my biggest surprise in Outlander. That he really threw me for a loop with that one. But I actually have a question, because something really interesting was said about the issue with Tom Christie coveting or being in love with Jamie's wife. Frank was also in love with Claire. Daddy Dougal, also at some point was going after Claire. So why is it necessarily different for Tom? Dougal behaved in a similar way. Frank also was in love with Claire. Different situation. They were previously married. But why is it an issue for Tom to be in love with Claire and maybe not necessarily Dougal to make sexual passes at her?
I don't think it is an issue.
Oh, I don't think it's okay
to be
that
honest
Dougal
with you,
did that either. Yeah. I don't think it's an issue at all that he's in love with Claire. I'm just questioning if we all thought he genuinely was. I think he was just coveting what Jamie had, and I think Claire healed him. It's the first woman who probably gave him physical touch, who made him feel intellectually stimulated, and there was an attraction. I just don't think it's love. It's like this great love, But I don't think it's a problem that anyone is in love with Claire. I probably would be in love with Claire. She's gorgeous and she's brilliant and she's sassy, and everybody wants to be Claire, you know? That's for a reason. She's written that way. That's the design. She's supposed to be this elusive, amazing thing that just draws everyone in. Even Lord John, he wants to hate her and be jealous of her, but he can't. He loves her. William ends up calling, Mother Claire, loves her. I think it's okay. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. That's not for me, that's not the point of it. It's more what's going on in his head and what's making him, I guess, go against his religious beliefs.
He's a man.
In a way that is detrimental to everybody's existence at that point. If he's going to follow the rules of the 10 Commandments, he's really not doing a good job.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
And that's where the hypocrisy, I guess that's what it is, that he's hypocritical.
But does Jamie follow the 10 Commandments?
No,
that's
that's
murdered a ton of people.
That's
but
what
that
we're
was our
always
whole
trying to
argument
point her
last
at.
week.
Okay, sorry, Jenny and I got too. Okay, that's what we're always trying to say about Jamie. That was the whole point with Dougal and Jamie. Jamie's not a good dude. He's just written to be loved, and he's written to be that way. And all these other characters are foil characters to make him look even better.
Better, right?
Yeah. So
I can understand that.
Okay, I got another question here. And this is a pass or smash situation. Okay. Tom Christie, pass or smash?
Oh God, pass.
Smash, absolutely smash.
No.
Yes.
Pass.
Yes.
Pass.
Mark Lewis Jones, I love you. Smash.
Okay, but not the actor, the character. The character.
I still would say, okay, well.
Liz wants to fix everybody. Liz is like, I could fix him. I could fix him.
Well, maybe not a full smash, maybe a partial smash.
Okay, that's fair. There's no part of me that is smashing that guy.
I don't know what a partial smash is. I've got a few pictures in my head.
No,
not really
second base, third base, maybe second base, third base, but not like full home run.
Maybe Diana could give us a graphic novel with photos like
there
Exile.
You go. Oh my
Exile,
Lord.
yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Jenny, way back in one of our Onions, Nuts, Mushrooms episodes, you said that Column could have just been erased from the story. I'm still so salty about that, by the way. I don't know why.
Filthy wench for saying that.
I still think it. I do.
I don't like that this has been 2-on-1 today. I feel like I'm the outsider. But you had said that Column could have just been left out. Mm-hmm. And I've actually seen a lot of people say that they wish the whole entire Christie storyline was left out. They did not enjoy it. They felt that it brought just a lot of trauma and a lot of unnecessary stuff into the story, which is a story about trauma. Now, I don't think, and I said this earlier, that he could be removed from the story simply because he needs to place the obituary so that Brianna goes back.
Right.
But what do you guys think? Could he be removed from the story?
Yeah, I do. There's nothing he did, as far as I'm concerned, that changed the trajectory other than that newspaper article. And that could have easily been given to someone else.
But would the fire have even happened if the whole situation with the Christies didn't happen?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he played a pivotal role in it. I think if it wasn't him, someone else would have told the story of this big, redheaded Scottish man and his witch wife that they died. I think that would have made it into the newspaper regardless.
But what I'm saying is, if they didn't get taken to Brownstown, and if Claire didn't have that interaction with Wendigo, and I'm talking about the show right now, and would the fire have even happened if Tom and the Christie whole storyline and them bringing Jamie and Claire getting kidnapped, all of that would never have happened.
I think he has to be there for it to happen. Meaning,
Why?
Okay.
Well, I think, first of all, I think that Malva is a necessary character to the story at that time, especially for Claire on the Ridge. I think that her relationship with Malva is necessary to the story. I don't think everything that happens after what happens to Malva works if Malva isn't there. And in order for that to work, Tom has to be there also. The relationship has to be there. Malva has to have the inclination to want to show interest in Claire and be her apprentice, and also find a way into their home to make everything make sense that has to come later. I don't think that the fire is going to happen without any of the other things happening.
And
I don't
think
think it's going to work.
I don't
Okay.
think Malva or Tom Christie had anything to do with that. That was a result of Claire's attack of the brown men, and Wendigo would have sought her out anyway.
Okay.
So-
Liz, can I give you a minor spoiler that it happened in the show, but a part of it was left out, and it's not going to be any huge revelation that's going to change any kind of storyline
I think I know what you're going to say.
to support why Malva has to be there.
Okay, yes.
Jenny, you think this is a minor spoiler, right? You know where I'm going?
I think I know where you're going.
Okay. In the moment in the books when Claire attempts to save the baby and save Malva,
Okay.
it's really the first time that Claire starts recognizing her blue light healing power.
Oh, okay.
And it's minor. This isn't a big spoiler, I
Interesting.
promise you. It's a blip in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never give you a big
Yeah.
spoiler because it's already played out in the
Sure.
show.
I think
Right.
they might have even shown a spark at that moment in the show
the
if you
show.
go watch. Yes.
I agree. So it's really not a spoiler. But that,
Right.
again, to me, is why the Christies have to be there, because that is like Claire, a necessary step in Claire's power. And you could argue, too, that it's a necessary step with Roger becoming, is he a minister? Minister? A preacher? I don't know the difference.
He would be a minister.
He's
A
becoming
minister, because-
Yep.
I just think they have an impact on the
Yeah.
Ridge as a whole and a lot of the dynamics. And if you removed them,
Yeah, Tom is the one setting up the school for the children. He's the teacher. He is the one who sets up the church that Roger, at least in the show, I haven't read it in the book yet,
But-
later steps into. And that is, I love season 6 Roger McDaddy so much because I really feel like that's, and I don't smash. I don't want to focus on Roger McDaddy Woo, but I do think related to Tom, the footprints that are laid out by Tom to create the church and have Roger step into that role, that's one of the things that really grounds Roger and makes him feel purposeful and that he fits in and that he can serve people in a different way than Jamie, because Roger's whole shtick is, I'm not Jamie, I'm never going to be Jamie, how's everybody gonna see me? That's his whole shtick in the show. But when it comes to Tom, yeah, I think all of them have to be there. And interesting that you say that about Malva, because I will say I have never been able to watch that scene with Claire and Malva and the baby in full. It's awful for me to watch.
Yeah.
It's very emotional. So I just personally have not watched it through. I close my eyes a lot. I turn away a lot. So if there is a glimmer of blue light there, I haven't seen it, but I'm very excited to find that out in the book, not necessarily to read about what happens, but I do feel like things in the book tend to be less graphic than they are in the show. They're just written to be less graphic. Maybe at least for me, because I'm a visual person, so
oh yeah,
when I see things, it feels different.
the way that they did the rape scene with Claire when she's kidnapped in the show was
So different in the books.
shocking to me. Because in the books
So
it was like
different.
two people. One of the guys chickened out. it wasn't detailed. Claire was
No.
dissociating in the moment, and
Yeah.
it was just, though I will say, Never My Love is probably one of the most cinematically beautiful episodes that they ever did, because that
Absolutely.
depiction of dissociation with all the Easter eggs took my breath away.
Yes.
It was
Absolutely.
mind-blowing. But I just can't see how the story, any of that period of time on the Ridge would, and I get what you're saying, Jenny, that anyone could have started the church. Anyone could have.
Well, Brianna started the school.
Brianna did
It
start
wasn't,
this.
and then it was taken away, not taken away from her, but she was the one that was teaching the kids before he got there.
But I just think that, yes, anyone could, I guess, in theory, you could apply that to anyone, okay? And maybe that's, okay, if Dougal never did this, there's a lot of that, what would have happened if, and I think we're going to cover a lot of different aspects of that in a lot of different episodes. But Tom's being at Ardsmuir with Jamie, Tom feeling the way he did about Jamie, him coming to the Ridge with his family, brought up a lot of things, and it drove the plot. And someone who didn't necessarily have that history with Jamie, if Claire wasn't there to take in Malva, and who would have moved the plot towards what needed to happen? Claire having that interaction with Wandiga. Why would the fire have started? What would have been? I guess the bugs still would have known about in the show the Jacobite Gold. So maybe that still would have been an instance.
So
but I think
you're just saying that the only thing that needed to happen at that moment is for Claire to recognize the blue light. Is that like your big?
that's my biggest thing. Is I think for that storyline, I think anyone, and I do think that he brought with Roger religious conviction and gave Roger like the push, not the push, but he gave him the feeling of,
Like confidence. It was confidence.
yes, maybe that would be the word. And I don't know who else would have done that. And again, would Jamie and Claire have ever had the conversation about the 9 Lives prophecy? Would the obituary ever taken place? We could theorize that, sure, somebody else would have said it, but would it have even happened? Because would Wendigo have even come back to the Ridge if Claire had never been captured? Would Claire ever have been captured if those incidents didn't take place because of, do you know what? It's like a domino effect. And who on the
It
Ridge
is.
besides Tom Christie was ever going to go against Jamie?
I don't
Whatever
think anyone.
that other little dude, the first guy who came and said, "Mind your wife." What was his name?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Henderson? Was it Henderson?
I can't remember. And he said, "People are talking about your wife, and she's a witch." And he didn't have a pair of balls on him. I mean, you got one thing I'll say about Tom Christie: he had some fucking balls, man. He was like going for Jamie, who not many people would take on Jamie.
I do think another aspect of that is the fact that Jamie's specifically Catholic. I think had Jamie been Protestant, it wouldn't have made a difference. There was a huge one. Jamie wasn't supposed to own the land anyway. Tom should have been able to own land because he was the right religion according to the laws that were in place at that time, being a Catholic. So that's another reason why Tom was probably so incredibly mad that Jamie had amassed all of this land and all of this property and all these people.
But again, that's why that would prove why you can't remove him, because you need someone that has that animosity towards Jamie.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've had like a million thoughts and I can't get them out. So
Get him out. Get him out.
I'm just having a hard time interjecting.
Okay, so while you're maybe thinking about the next thing you want to say, can I ask a question about the blue light / Master Raymond related to what we were just talking about with Claire's kidnapping and her attack? Can I ask that? Okay. So I'm talking in the book now. First of all, I screamed when I read about the bunny appearing and disappearing. I screamed. And I said, Master Raymond sent you? Because ever since I read in the end of Bruno about the shaman shapeshifter, now everything is different. And now everything that you say about Master Raymond being a shapeshifter, I believe every single thing that you say. Every single thing that you say. Not that I didn't before, but I have textual evidence now that it's true. And what a brilliant find. And I think, like, to anyone listening who hasn't yet read the books or is having a hard time, keep going. Please keep going. Even through Bruno, it was so worth it. It took me 2 years and 4 months to read that book on and off because I stopped so much. Now, the other question is, there's a moment when Claire is outside. She's by herself. It's right after she sees the bunny, and she looks up, and the sky became this, like, sapphire blue color. That, to me, was like, it was right after the bunny. And I just thought to myself, it's like a blanket of healing, a blanket of safety, a blanket of protection over Claire. Really terrible things were happening. So is that, we're talking about, like, the elements of the earth now. Could that also have been Master Raymond, or could that just have been Claire in her mind trying to find something to hold on to for hope? Or could it have been both? What do you think?
I don't remember the part in the book, so it doesn't make a difference.
Well, either one of you who want to answer, I'm curious.
So, I think that and I think Jenny would probably agree, because we talk about this a lot, and Jenny says, man, when I go back and I reread, I catch so much more. And
the second reread is absolutely a big deal.
Yeah. I think for me, when I've gone back and I've read, there are so many blue light Master Raymond echoes throughout the series. Even so far as when they find the soldier on the field and Jamie's explaining, I can't talk about that. But yes, I think it's a combination. I think that blue is healing and blue is their aura, but it's also, I think, shown in a lot of different ways that not necessarily, I think the blue aura and the blue light healing power are two different things, but I think in moments where Claire needs it, it comes to her, whether it's visually or other ways. Does that make sense?
It does. And I can see exactly what you're talking about, that it's almost like there are certain scenarios where the blue will find her when she needs it. Not that she's actively seeking it out, but it will find her in a moment where maybe she's feeling lost, or she's not sure what to do, or she's feeling guilty about not being in the future. When she talks a lot about her medical things, she talks about how things are so different where she is right now. She can't save this person. She can't do this kind of surgery. But if she were still in her time, she would be able to do those things. So I think I can see it absolutely in the way that you are explaining it, that it seeks her out maybe in those moments where she's questioning herself, questioning her choices, to say, like, hey girl, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I can see that. So I just told you the scene about Malva. So Jenny, you remember that scene when she's trying to heal Malva with the blue light. Do you think, in your opinion, that is a critical moment on Claire coming into her power, or do you think that it could have just been any other, person or moment?
Any other her treated? Yeah, I do. I think it's just the way the story's written. That there's other things that happen down the road that I think still would have triggered that.
Okay.
Because it has to come down to a conversation that she has with Roger, and I'll just leave it at that. And I think it would have come back to her anyway.
Oh, you might actually, you're kind of changing my perspective on this because I don't think you're wrong.
But Malva was someone who was very. I'm not to it in the books yet, but you both have told me that Malva's story is even more sad in the books because she has a very deep and close relationship with Claire, and that Malva means something very special to Claire, that they really have a very special relationship. So do you think, I'm obviously not sure how this blue light plays out yet because I'm not there. Do you think it has to do with the fact that Malva was someone so special to Claire that it maybe triggered something in her, meaning the spark of the blue light was able to present itself or come to the surface in that moment because maybe of the power of the emotional connection? Or do you think it had to do specifically with the fact that it was Malva? Because remember, in the web of Outlander, everyone is connected somehow or other. Everyone is connected. So I'm curious what you think it might have been. If there even is an answer. Sometimes things just have to go unanswered because there is no answer.
I don't necessarily think. I think it's a good connection that there is an emotional attachment there. I don't necessarily think that it has meaning down the road.
Quite honestly, I've
Okay,
never
fair.
thought about the emotional connection. I got to be honest, I've just never really thought about that. I've thought about amplifiers quite a bit, and the way that when Master Raymond is healing Claire, she ties into Jamie, how in other instances that you're going to come to that there's, amplifiers of possible. So it's interesting to me that I have to think about that. That's a really good question because if you are emotionally connected to someone, does it heighten your power? So I would initially, I guess my instinct would be to say yes, but I almost would
And
then
I'm
also
thinking specifically of that other thing, and I don't think there's an emotional connection there. That's what's got me. Like I said, it's a good point, but I think the next thing down the road that happens, there isn't. Maybe there is.
we just don't know. Maybe there's some kind of genetic.
No, there is, because no. I'm going with a memory.
Oh yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe the healing power is, and it necessarily isn't the person, but it's tapping into the emotion, into a memory or a connection, or say that a ghost or a spirit or anything. That's something I really have to think about. We both said, yeah, something to think about.
That's actually very interesting that you say that. That's so interesting that you say that because I just read a part in the book, in book 6, where Jamie has the dream about Randall. And he sees red. He is seeing red, and that's Jamie's aura. That was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting that you say that. I personally do think emotion does have something to do with connection with aura in that way, but it's interesting what you said, Doreen, that maybe it's not the emotion itself singularly, maybe it's the ability to tap into the emotion, and that's kind of what fuels the ability for the aura to make itself seen or work. Maybe
that was Jenny that said that. I mean, I know I said it, but it was because
Jenny, sorry.
No, I said it, but
I
it was
don't
because
remember.
I was responding to the scene that she was talking about, and I thought, okay, tapping into it. So I guess since we're nearing our hour mark, I guess 2 things I want to ask, and if you guys want to ask anything else. So I'm faux. Bliss his friend. Jenny's in the middle. I'm kind of in the middle. I got to be honest. If they're, and Jenny thinks they could be taken out, Bliss and I think that they couldn't. And so outside of the main core characters, Roger, Bree, main characters, who do you guys think is one side character? And I'm not saying Fergus. I'm talking true side character, like, the Montauk Five or the Christies, whoever, that could absolutely, under no circumstances, be removed from the story.
Does Murtaugh fit in that?
No.
No, that he would
not.
stick around. No, that he would stick around.
Oh.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
No, actually, I'm saying like a character that if you removed them, you've said Column before. So I'm saying any other character that you think, you said he could be removed and nobody would notice. Now I'm asking the opposite. A character that if you removed them, the story would not make sense, but not a main character.
Yeah, Murtaugh.
Okay. In the show, you're saying.
Yeah, I think he's pivotal to Jamie's, to who Jamie becomes.
I don't disagree with you,
I
actually.
think he probably took the place of Brian.
Especially in the books, when you learn that how much, when you start getting into exile and you start getting into just, he facilitated Kenneth and Claire. So,
and we can even add Galis into that. Like, she is an absolute that.
yeah.
She needs to be there.
She's
Buck
an absolute.
too. Buck needs to be there.
Oh, I would say Buck. I would say Ottertooth.
Yeah.
Definitely
can't
Ottertooth. Even Wendigo has to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a really good question. I think all of them are there for a reason. Maybe the reason isn't easily identifiable at given moments of the story, but I think all of them have a purpose. There's all a greater connection there. And some of them lead to other plot devices, for sure.
If people aren't aware, like, I just think the way Diana wrote it, I think she started with Dougal, realized she was giving him a temper and had to be reeled in. And that's why we have Column. Like, so I don't necessarily think his existence was necessary. I know that pisses people off, but I just think...
It doesn't piss me off. I just...
still... Not you. I mean, other, people have strong feelings. I just think that he was introduced to balance.
It's a good point.
Dougal.
It's a valid point.
Filling in some blanks.
I will say that
I don't know.
Jenny has really changed. It's hard to change my mind, and you guys all changed my mind on a lot of things, but man, Jenny has really changed my mind on some of these characters. So I tend to put a lot of stock in what she says, but I can't get on board with Column not mattering. I just can't.
No, I can't.
You're never going to change me on Frank. Sorry. I'm sorry.
So
There
I was actually just going to ask, do you think Tom Christie is worse than Frank, or do you think Frank is worse than Tom Christie? Or are they both kind of on the same level for you?
I mean, I feel that it's such a common misconception that people think I hate Frank, because I don't like Frank at all. I think he's important, but you can't put them on the same. I think Frank is pivotal to the story, and he's just a bad dude, but I think there's good stuff about him, and I think I just know way more about him. Tom Christie to me is just kind of a douchebag who's hypocritical, and he's like, I'm so religious and I'm so pious and I'm so this, but he's a fucking hypocrite. At least Frank's just a dick and he kind of owns it. What about
He
for you,
does.
Jenny?
Good for you, Frank the Tank.
I think they're kind of the same, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I don't. Yeah, I think they're. Yeah, same kind of people. I mean, look again. If we're talking about book Frank versus show Frank, they're two totally different characters. So, I don't know.
Do you love
If
them
I had to
equally,
put
Liz?
the two against each other, do I? Well, I actually love Frank more. I think I love Frank way more. I would say that Tom is significantly worse than Frank, because Tom's relationship with Malvo was very different than Frank's relationship with Brianna. So looking at them as fathers, Frank was a much better father, if you're, even going to look like that.
Yeah.
But
Agree with
I
that.
would agree with that.
I do. Yeah. And we can't end this episode without me saying my favorite Tom Christie line. "This is filth. I thought better of you." That's my favorite
Put a cap
line.
on. Put a cap on. Why do you walk around with your hair flowing? I don't know. I don't know.
I actually
my
think that's a
gosh.
perfect way to end the episode since we're at time, too.
Okay, so you can follow us on YouTube, TikTok. We are at Outlander Unhinged. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at outlanderunhinged@gmail.com. You can find all of our socials. We have them listed in our TikTok. Maybe that's something we should do so I don't have to say them. And hope you guys enjoyed this show.
And until next time, we will see you in the space between.
I have to pee.